A historic day for Britain's BMX riders as they pick up first a silver and then a gold in Tokyo. Team GB's first ever Olympic medals in the event.
Yes, it's a silver!
Kai White took silver in the men's race minutes before Bethany Shriver in her Olympic debut scooped the gold in her event. Two medal winners, both from London, celebrated together. Beth Shriver said she was stunned by her achievement.
You're an Olympic champion.
Honestly, I'm in shock. To even be here is an achievement in itself. To make a final is another achievement in itself. To come over a medal, let alone a gold medal. Honestly, I'm so over the moon.
And yet another medal in the pool for Duncan Scott, his third of this Games, with silver in the men's 200 metres individual medley. And Team GB's medal tally increased with 3 bronze medals in swimming, rowing and trampolining. We'll bring you all the latest, plus an extended interview with those 2 BMX stars. Also on the programme, get your COVID jab, the message from England's chief midwife to women who are pregnant.
Luckily I haven't had COVID at all, I've been very lucky that way, but I just thought it was important to have it to protect me and the baby now as well, so yeah, I decided to do it.
And disruption to dairy deliveries, says a major company, due to a dip in the number of drivers.
And coming up on the BBC News channel, history in her sights. Team GB's world champion Dina Asher-Smith qualifies second in a heat for the 100 metres semi-finals and says she's saving her best for them.
Good afternoon and welcome to BBC News. Team GB's Olympic success continues, with British competitors winning another 6 medals. There was a bronze for Bryony Page in trampolining and more success in the pool, where Duncan Scott claimed his 3rd medal of the Games with silver in the men's 200 metres individual medley. But the story of the day was in the BMX, where Kai White took silver in the men's race before Bethany Shriver, who had to fund much of her own qualification campaign after UK Sport cut its support, took a spectacular gold in the women's race. Our sports correspondent Andy Swiss has a roundup of all the latest action.
She is British sport's new two-wheeled wonder. The Olympics is no stranger to fairy tales, but Beth Shriver's is something very special. The 22-year-old hadn't been among the favourites in the BMX, but the part-time teaching assistant was soon giving her rivals a lesson. She led from the start, and in this most exhilarating of events, she flew round the track. Could she hang on for gold? Well, it was some finish.
All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way!
Oh, and it looks like he's got it! Bethany Shriver, the first time of asking!
Cue elation and utter exhaustion. Her teammate Kai White lifting her aloft as the enormity of her achievement started sinking in. Shriver had to crowdfund her own preparations for Tokyo.
I love you guys.
And after celebrating with her family in Essex, she said her victory defied belief.
Honestly, I'm in shock. To even be here is an achievement in itself. To make a final is another achievement in itself. To come over a medal, let alone a gold medal. Honestly, I'm so over the moon.
But this was a day of double celebration. Just moments earlier, Kai White, nicknamed the Prince of Peckham, had produced a regal display to take a stunning silver, enjoyed as much in southeast London as it was in Tokyo.
It means everything. Yeah, it means everything. Just look at like once in a lifetime opportunity. As I said, it was pretty hard to even get to Olympics in the first place, to do well and to even get a medal. Yeah, it's special.
White then turned cheerleader, roaring Shriver on before the pair could finally celebrate together. And they weren't the only ones. Former Oasis star Liam Gallagher described Shriver as a ledge, while cyclist Geraint Thomas tweeted, "The one good thing about jet lag is I got to watch Bethany and Kai smash it live. Amazing." It's a word that might also apply to this man, Duncan Scott, winning his 3rd medal of the Games with silver in the 200 metres individual medley. While in the 200 metres backstroke, Luke Greenbank took bronze, For Team GB, the pool is certainly proving productive. In the trampolining, meanwhile, could Bryony Page bounce to glory? Well, after 2 years out with injury, it was some display.
Whoa, well done, Bryony!
Following her silver in Rio, this time bronze, which she later described as amazing. There was also bronze in the rowing for the men's 8, but for one of Team GB's flagship sports, this has been a disappointing Games. Just 2 medals, and for the first time since 1980, no gold. On the first day of athletics, Dina Asher-Smith confirmed her status as a contender in the 100 metres, easing through her heat and into the semi-finals. And in the boxing, Pat McCormack and Ben Whittaker are both guaranteed medals, although Whittaker has more than just victory in his sights.
I want to go back with a gold medal, and I want to become the mayor of Wolverhampton. I want one of those nice chains on my neck, and I'll be calling all the shots. Everybody in Wolverhampton will have a nice ice grill and a nice big chain, courtesy of Ben Whittaker.
Excited? Just a little. Andy Swiss, BBC News.
Well, after their outstanding performances, I had the chance to speak to Britain's new BMX heroes, Bethany and Kai, and I began by asking Kai what victory meant to him.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it was exciting, it was thrilling. Oh, yeah, it's been a dream come true since I was a kid, and to even get to the Olympics, to be selected, to be on the team, to be called an Olympian is even great, but to even called a medalist is even better. So, yeah, it's been a crazy experience.
And BMX is something that's in your family, isn't it?
Yeah. From when I even first started, it was my 2 brothers, my older sister, then my younger sister got into it. My dad's the senior coach at Peckham BMX club under CK, and yeah, that club is just a great club, and they're doing very well with the riders, obviously.
Clearly they are. That's very modest of you. So you won your medal, and then you were watching on the sidelines as Beth got that gold medal. How did that feel?
Do you know what? It's the crazy experience I've ever experienced, because out of all the races I've been to, all the teammates I've cheered on, Beth has been through a tough ride, and yeah, to see her win the medals, I wouldn't want to see anyone else do it better. So even the way she done it, she won from the start. She led out every race. I think she only dropped 1 lap today, and I think she was chilling anyway. So yeah, but yeah, she's a crazy rider, best I've ever seen, and she deserves it.
Beth, how does it feel? You've got a gold medal.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. It's crazy. I'm honestly speechless. Like, the amount of support that we've both received, it's honestly been amazing, and today just couldn't have gone any better.
And you gave it your all, didn't you? We saw you at the end completely exhausted.
Yeah, I literally left everything on that track. I knew I had to work hard to get that gold. I knew someone was on my tail, obviously previous double Olympic champ. I saw her coming on that last straight, and I knew I had to keep smooth and have one last push. So yeah, literally left everything. I had nothing left. I couldn't even stand. Kai picked me up. It was honestly crazy.
Well, so many thousands of young people will be looking at where both of you are today and looking at you as inspiring figures, thinking that if you can do it, maybe they can too. What would you say to them? Kai first.
Oh, of course they can do it. I'm only for a kid from Peckham, not a bad place, not a great place, just Peckham. And yeah, look where I am today in Tokyo. The whole triple I've been saying is Peckham to Tokyo on every picture. And yeah, it's obviously a dream come true from a young kid. And any kids that do have them dreams, please chase it. And while you're chasing it, have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Beth?
No, I totally agree with Kai. Like, if you've got a dream, you chase it, you dream it. Like, every athlete dreams of this moment, and if you fully commit and you give it everything you got, you will be rewarded, I promise you. So wherever you're from, honestly, just get down to the track in any sport, just get it cracking and have a good time, have a really good time.
Beth Shriver, Kai White, huge congratulations to both of you. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Well, our reporter Eleanor Roper is at the Peckham BMX track in South London, where Kai trained. Eleanor.
Yeah, from Peckham to Tokyo, we're here where it all started for Kai. 4 years old, he was on this track, and we're joined now by his dad, who's got a massive smile on his face. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Been awake all night?
Yep.
What were you thinking watching? Did you expect him to get a medal?
I knew he was going to do something special. He always does. And yes, I believed he was going to make the final and do us all proud, yes.
And yeah, you do look very, very proud this morning. Now, I want to ask you a bit about your family, because you've got 3 sons, and they're all BMXers.
Yeah.
And top quality BMXers as well. Tell us about them.
So, Daniel's the oldest. He led the way to British cycling, and Trey followed. And obviously, little sibling Kai wanted to be with his brothers. So he ended up chasing his dream and following his brothers and being a cyclist for British cycling.
Wow, he wanted in on the action.
Yeah, definitely.
How long till you get Kai back home here then?
Oh, I'm not even sure. I'm not sure. I think, from what I've heard, I think they might be getting kicked out in 48 hours or something
not very
like
long.
that. Yeah.
I mean, how proud are you? What does this mean? To have started here and now to be watching him, obviously you're not able to be there with him, but it obviously must mean an enormous amount.
I'm super proud. Super. It's crazy, it's amazing, and it always makes me proud. It always makes me proud, but yeah, it's been a great journey. Yeah. And it hasn't finished.
No, I imagine it's just getting started. His first Olympics.
Started, yes.
And amazing as well to see those pictures of him with Beth.
Oh, that is brilliant. That's just Kai all over. Yeah, he's the kids love him, parents love him. He'll talk to anybody, you know, and he make you feel like you're the star.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, thank you for chatting to us. We hope you get some sleep. Everyone here in Peckham today so excited. As we mentioned there, amazing pictures of him celebrating with Beth as she won her gold medal as well.
Many thanks, Eleanor. Well, Beth's largely self-funded path to Olympic glory has cast a sharp focus on how money for Olympic sports is distributed and the scrutiny that many athletes are under. It contrasts with rowing, Britain's best-funded sport, where competitors have achieved only 1 silver and 1 bronze in Tokyo, despite receiving millions of pounds. Laura Scott looks now at how the key decisions are made.
Bethany Shriver!
At times on her route to Olympic glory, Beth Shriver wondered where the money was going to come from. She had to crowdfund and work part-time as a teaching assistant to keep her dreams alive. It was only in the summer of 2019 that she was moved onto UK sport funding. Her gold in BMX earlier today is some return for her tenacity.
I've relied a lot on my mum and dad to get me through most of my career in BMX. Ended up doing a crowd fund which raised a decent amount of money to get me to a few World Cups and pay for my coach at the time.
Meanwhile, Britain's best funded sport, rowing, no longer rules the waves. 1 silver and 1 bronze medal makes this the worst game since Atlanta 1996 in medal terms, and the first without a gold in more than 40 years, prompting some tough questions about whether this is value for money.
I think we've got to make some significant changes to really step up. We've got to look at the analysis of what the other countries in the world are doing that we're not doing. We've got a great base and a great model that's given us performances over the years, but everyone else is starting to move forward, and we've got to move forward with them.
Rowing received £24.6 million for the Tokyo cycle, topping the UK sport investment table, ahead of cycling, athletics and sailing, which get more than £20 million each. Some sports receive less than £1 million, leading to some claims that the system is unfair.
For fencing, it was extremely difficult. We lost our funding in 2016 after our results at Rio, and that created an enormously difficult environment for our athletes. But what we have seen and what we've really welcomed in the last cycle is a change in approach and the ambition to fund more wider sports. And so we've benefited from some of that investment, which has helped us in being able to send an athlete to Tokyo.
Under its new strategy, UK sport has shifted its focus away from a win-at-all-costs mentality, meaning medals won't be the only measure of success. The agency wants to fund a broader range of sports, factor in potential over a longer period, and look at the inspiration communities get from performances.
The British public have told us very clearly when we've consulted with them that they love to see British athletes winning at the Olympic and Paralympic Games, and they want us to do that with integrity, and they want us to do that well. They've also told us that they want to see us winning in more sports. And so it's fantastic to think that we have now medalled in so many sports at this Games.
While they might not be counting the medals, at a time when government funding is still under review, they will be counting the pennies. There's already a sense that for some sports, the post-Games review could get ugly. Laura Scott, BBC News.
Well, our sports editor Dan Rowan is at the Olympic Stadium in Tokyo, where the athletics competition has been getting underway today. Dan.
That's right, yes, first day of competition here at athletics. For so many people, of course, a highlight of any Olympic Games. It's going to be fascinating to see, isn't it, after so much success in other sports, how Team GB fare in track and field. They've had a good day here, actually. 3 women through to the semi-finals of the 800 metres, 3 more through to the semis of the 100 metres, including, of course, Dina Asher-Smith, who saw a little earlier on. She managed 11th fastest in her heat across all of the heats, but you get the impression she's holding a lot back. She says she'll take it to a different level, and she's going to need to. 6 women went sub 11 seconds, including Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price, who is, of course, the favourite, the Jamaican former Olympic champion. It's going to be a mouth-watering final here tomorrow evening. As I said, for so many people, the highlight of any Games. Lord Coe's been speaking to us in the last few minutes, the head of World Athletics. Here's what he had to say.
I mean, everybody was doing everything they possibly could to agree the famous playbooks and all the protocols and the safety for the athletes and all the local communities that you have to protect as well. But I think there were moments, and some of them were political as well, but I think there were moments where, you know, we were beginning to doubt whether or not this was going to happen, but everybody kept their nerve.
It's been quite easy at times to forget that, of course, there's no fans at these Games because of the situation with COVID in Tokyo. But when you're in this massive arena, you are reminded of that fact. Nonetheless, there's plenty of atmosphere around us, as you can see, with some of the athletes who are supporting their teammates during the heats. Behind me, huge amount to look forward to, especially this evening with the final of the 10,000 metres for men. Joshua Cheptegei, Ugandan world champion, legendary distance runner. He'll be the favourite in that, and over the course of the next week. So much else, of course, to look forward to here at the athletics meeting.
Many thanks. Dan Rowan there in Tokyo for us. The time is 17 minutes past 12, our top story this lunchtime. A historic day for Britain's BMX riders as they pick up first a silver and then a gold in Tokyo. Winner Beth Shriver said she was stunned by her achievement.
You're an Olympic champion.
Honestly, I'm in shock. To even be here is an achievement in itself. To make a final is another achievement in itself. To come over a medal, let alone a gold medal. Honestly, I'm so over the moon.
Coming up on the BBC News channel, jumping for joy, a second Olympic medal for trampolinist Bryony Page. A bronze today to add to the silver she won back in Rio.
Now, Labour is calling for the government to bring forward the date on which fully vaccinated people will no longer have to self-isolate in England. The Welsh Government confirmed last night that it would make the change next Saturday, while Scotland plans to do the same 2 days later. In England, the change is not due to come in until the 16th of August. Well, our political correspondent Ian Watson is at Westminster for us. Ian, what is Labour's reasoning here?
Well, what Sir Keir Starmer's arguing, Rita, is that currently the economy is in chaos. It's being crippled by the fact that more than 700,000 people may well now be in self-isolation. Very nearly 700,000 were certainly asked to self-isolate just last week. But he's also arguing that the government has never satisfactorily explained why they're choosing August the 16th. So he was asked, why is he choosing August the 7th, and on what scientific basis has that decision been made?
We've been talking to scientists throughout the 18 months of this pandemic on a very regular basis. It's not the date that is driving, it's the principle of the double vaccination and the idea as Welsh Labour put forward, that if you're double vaccinated, you don't have to isolate if you've been in contact with someone, as is automatically the rule at the moment. At the moment, we've got hundreds of thousands of people a week isolating, and you can see the chaos that that's causing.
Now, interestingly, of course, if this is all about double vaccination rather than scientific data, well, many Conservative MPs and indeed some Labour MPs, including the former Cabinet Minister Ben Bradshaw, are asking why on earth isn't Sir Keir Starmer simply calling for self-isolation to end right now? Why isn't Boris Johnson doing it right now? Well, interestingly, Sir Keir Starmer's answer on that point was that he thinks the 7th of August is pragmatic and it gives time for changes to be brought in, although it is interesting, it simply seems to be in step with the Labour-led administration in Wales. Now, the Conservatives have accused him of chasing newspaper headlines. The government say they have explained August the 16th. It's all about getting more people double jabbed. And in any case, critical workers can escape self-isolation through testing at the moment, although there are perhaps only around 300 testing sites of a promised 2,000 which are actually in operation. But I think it is interesting, Rita, that increasingly it seems that Sir Keir Starmer is looking for points of conflict with the government over COVID rather than consensus.
Ian, many thanks. Ian Watson there. England's chief midwife has written to GP practices, obstetricians and midwives, stressing the need to encourage pregnant women to be vaccinated against coronavirus. Estimates suggest that only 1 in 10 pregnant women have had the jab, but the number of mothers to be in hospital with the virus is rising, as our health correspondent Catherine Burns reports.
The message couldn't be any clearer. Expectant mothers should take action to protect themselves and their babies by getting the COVID vaccine. Any midwife not encouraging pregnant women to do so will now be going against official guidance. At the antenatal clinic at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, most of the pregnant women we spoke to had been jabbed.
It's just for the safety. I think I just started getting worried, especially in my 3rd trimester. Luckily, I haven't had COVID at all. I've been very lucky that way. But I just thought it was important to have it to protect me and the baby now as well. So, yeah, I decided to do it.
So I was really nervous before I had it done, and then I did a bit more reading and thought, actually, this is perfect. Have it done, I feel much safer, much happier and much freer to go out and about now.
I decided that it was kind of I was in a better position having the vaccine than I was potentially being exposed to the risk of COVID.
But it's not always a straightforward decision.
If it had been going for 5 years or something like that, like the whooping cough, I would feel more confident to get it done. But I think because it's so new, I think that's why I'm still hesitating. So I think that's what's keeping me from getting vaccinated.
New data from the UK obstetric surveillance system showed that of the 742 pregnant women admitted to hospital with COVID since the start of February, only 4 had received a single dose of the vaccine and none had been double jabbed. The data also suggested that the Delta variant has increased the likelihood of pregnant patients having more severe symptoms. At Chelsea and Westminster, they outline other risks too.
If you are umming and ahhing about having the COVID vaccination, it's really important to remember that, in pregnancy, if you aren't vaccinated, you are more likely to end up needing respiratory support. Unfortunately, it can lead to early miscarriages or kind of preterm births, which you can imagine has a detrimental impact on your baby's health.
More than 51,000 pregnant women in England have had their first jab and nearly 21,000 have had their second. But that means that hundreds of thousands remain unvaccinated. Medical experts insist there's been no safety concerns for pregnant women who've taken the jab, and it is safe. Catherine Burns, BBC News.
The latest data from the Office for National Statistics shows the number of people testing positive for coronavirus in England, Wales and Northern Ireland continued to increase in the week to last Saturday. It comes after several days of falling daily case numbers in the UK. So what is going on? Well, our health correspondent Jim Reed is here to explain. And what is going on, Jim?
So, Rita, there are 2 main ways, slightly confusingly, of measuring COVID infections in the UK. There's the daily data that you might hear every evening on the news, and that's measuring people who come forward normally with symptoms of the virus and then test positive. That's what it's measuring. Those figures have been very encouraging for the last week or so, showing a sharp downward trend, as you can see here on the graph. On the right-hand side of the graph, you're seeing that trend fall down. There is, though, a different way of measuring infections, also very carefully watched. And this is where the Office of National Statistics goes out and randomly samples people in the population, about 500,000 people in the UK. And that can measure not just people with symptoms, but people who are not actually sick with COVID at the time. That data is out just in the last 15 minutes. It shows in the week to last Saturday, actually cases were rising slightly. So across the UK, just short of 1 million people, 950,000 people had COVID in that week, up from about 830,000 the week before, up in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, down slightly actually in Scotland. So why these two different trends then? It is confusing. A lot could be down to timing. So that ONS survey, Office of National Statistics, measures people up to last Saturday. So it might have missed this very recent fall we've seen in those daily cases. It also, as I say, also measures people without symptoms. So that can make a difference. The ONS said we will continue to investigate whether the current wave of infections is stabilising or not. On that, it remains simply too early to say.
Jim, many thanks. The number of drug deaths in Scotland has risen to a record level for the 7th year in a row. There was a total of 1,339 drug-related fatalities in 2020. That's the highest rate in Europe. Well, our correspondent James Shaw is in Glasgow for us now. James, this is clearly a persistent and very worrying problem.
Well, it has been described as a public health emergency. And I think you're right, Reeta. One of the things that is particularly shocking is the fact that it has been going on for so many years. The 7th record year for the drug death rate in Scotland. And in fact, the drugs policy minister here, Angela Constance, has admitted that it is a national disgrace, as she put it, and that the number of deaths, the death rate, was unacceptably high. To put it in context, this is 3.5 times the drug death rate for the whole of the UK. And it is particularly affecting deprived parts of Scotland, much more than it is the least deprived areas, and that gap has been increasing over the last 20 years. Now, the Scottish Government is setting aside £250 million to deal with this, to try to make sure that everyone who needs it gets treatment and that there is emergency treatment for people who suffer from overdoses. But the opposition, the political opposition here, the Scottish Conservatives, say really that the Scottish Government's response is inadequate. There needs to be legislation, a right to recovery bill to guarantee that people get the treatment they need.
Thank you very much, James. It's been confirmed that human remains found in the Pyrenees mountain range are those of a British woman who went missing last November. Esther Dingley, who was 37, was hiking near Spain's border with France when she vanished. She and her partner had been on an open-ended campervan tour of Europe, but he wasn't with her at the time of her disappearance. The Hollywood star Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney for breach of contract after it streamed her superhero film Black Widow at the same time as its cinema release. The film set a post-pandemic box office record, grossing £157 million in its first weekend. Ms. Johansson argues that the decision to stream the film has deprived her of potential earnings. Disney said it had fully complied with her contract and her case had no merit whatsoever. The UK's biggest dairy company, Arla, has told the BBC that it failed to make 25% of its deliveries to supermarkets last weekend because of a lack of lorry drivers. The firm said 600 stores did not receive deliveries. They say the ongoing shortage of drivers, alongside staff having to isolate because of COVID alerts, is causing major disruption. The company's boss has been speaking to our business correspondent, Emma Simpson.
This is the world's largest fresh milk dairy. We process over 1 billion litres of milk from our cooperative farmer owners a year. So you can see this is a vast operation. In fact, 1 in every 5 bottles of milk that's sold in the UK is made here. Since the beginning of April, we have experienced driver shortages. So being able to take the products from a factory like here at Aylesbury to the supermarkets, and that has now increased to such a level now where we're not able to deliver milk to every store that would like to.
Can you quantify this?
So normally we deliver milk to 2,400 stores daily. So we're a very big milkman. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's about 10% of the stores every day that we can't deliver to. And at the weekend, it's worse. Last Saturday, there were 600 stores that we couldn't deliver milk to.
That's a lot of milk.
That's a lot of milk, and it's very worrying for customers when they go into shops. And it's not just milk, it's an industry issue, but it's very worrying for customers when they go into shops and find that the shelves are empty.
So what do you want to see happen here?
So I think it's a structural issue of a shortage of drivers in the UK, and it needs a structural solution. However, going into the summer with lots more holidays coming up, there's a short-term crisis that we need to make sure that we don't have food shortages in the summer, and therefore we would like to work with the government first to recognise it's a crisis. Secondly, there's a backlog of tests for HGV drivers. We predict about 30,000 drivers are waiting to be tested. We want government to work with us to accelerate that. And then secondly, we believe that driving should be recognised as a skilled shortage, and therefore open up temporary visas for the industry to be able to bring European drivers back into the country.
The government says industry has to find the solutions to this, which means better working conditions, better pay. What are you doing?
I would absolutely agree with that, and Arla, through our third-party hauliers who do our distribution for us, have significantly increased pay. In fact, this week we have announced a 2,000 signing on bonus for the drivers to join and work on weekends, and we've introduced an academy to make sure that we're growing the home talent, because what we really want in the long term is for British young people to come into the industry as well.
How serious is this?
Well, I think when you're not able to supply 10% of the stores that would be expecting to get milk every day, I think that's quite worrying for a customer walking into a store and not being able to have milk for their teas and coffees. So we're taking it very, very seriously.
It's a summer of disruption, potentially.
Well, that's what we're trying to avoid.
And that was Emma Simpson speaking to Arla's Managing Director, Ash Amiramadi. Time now for a look at the weather. Here's Helen Willits.
Reeta, thanks. So our named storm, Avert, has brought some unseasonably windy weather through the small hours of the morning. Gusts exceeded 70 miles an hour in the very exposed parts, and the winds have yet to escalate further east. But for parts of Cornwall, they are starting to ease a little, but we've got plenty of showers to come behind. It's not just a story of wind. There's some fairly soaking rains around across northern England, North Wales, as you can see, and bands of showers circulating around our storm as well will turn heavy and thundery, particularly across eastern parts of England, the northeast, around towards East Anglia, the East Midlands as well. So that is going to be a concern as well. A little bit drier and brighter for parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, feeling a little bit warmer here as well because the winds are lighter, but certainly not exempt from those showers, and quite cool with a weather front across the north of Scotland. As I say, the winds have yet to escalate further east across eastern and southeastern coast, so 40 to 50 miles an hour, not as ferocious as further west, but still unusual for this time of year. And as a result, with those winds and those clouds, it feels quite cool. Of course, those showers, which will rumble on into this evening, easing away from many western areas eventually, but with that focal of that weather front across northern Scotland slipping southwards and still the low pressure close by, we are going to have quite a few showers continuing here. But a subtle change of wind direction freshens things up a little bit overnight. So certainly not a cold night, but feeling a little bit fresher. The subtle change in wind directions with us through the weekend. We've got this northerly wind right away from the Arctic. So it will warm as it comes southwards across the warmer waters, at the same time picking up some extra moisture. So the weekend is looking cooler with some sunny spells, but also a scattering of showers. So as we go through Saturday, for example, we're expecting those showers to be more prevalent around eastern areas with our weather front here. Across England and Wales, generally, I think with low pressure still around, we could see some quite heavy showers building up, some thundery showers as well. A little bit fresher across Scotland and Northern Ireland, but with some drier, brighter weather promised here, particularly the further west. But you can see those heavy showers around. Temperatures just a little bit lower because of that northerly wind. And finally to Sunday, it's a very similar looking day, possibly the showers more confined to southern parts of England and Wales, but still some patchy rain across the north and still that cool northerly wind to contend with, Reeta.
Many thanks, Helen. That's all from us. Now it's time for the news where you are. Bye-bye.